Welcome to our channel. History can sometimes feel like it's all dates and battles, but every now and then something so strange happens that it makes you wonder if someone slipped a fictional event into the history books. Today we're diving into some of the most bizarre events that didn't just make headlines but also left their mark on history forever. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. All right, let's kick things off in 1932 Australia. Picture this: vast farmland, a scorching sun, and thousands of emus. Emus are big birds, like really big. In the 1930s, they were wreaking havoc on Australian crops. The farmers, at their wits' end, turned to the government for help. The government's solution: declare war on the emus. Armed with Lewis machine guns, the military thought it would be easy. But the emus were masters of guerrilla warfare. They dodged bullets like they were in a Matrix movie. Newspapers mocked the military's struggles. After weeks of embarrassing defeats, the government called the whole thing off. The emus had won, defending their right to roam the countryside. From a war with birds, let's fast forward to 1518. Strasbourg, France, a bustling city in the heart of Europe. It's summertime, the air is warm, and people are dancing in the streets, moving to an unseen rhythm. But this wasn't a party. It was a plague, a bizarre and terrifying phenomenon. The dancing plague, to be precise, an event that would baffle historians for centuries. It all started with one woman, Frau Troffea, who inexplicably began to dance. She stepped into the street and began to dance, and she didn't stop, not for hours, not for days. Soon others joined her, caught in this inexplicable dancing frenzy, unable to resist the compulsion. Dozens, then hundreds of people, dancing uncontrollably, their faces contorted in exhaustion and ecstasy, unable to stop. Doctors were baffled, speculating mass hysteria, hot blood, or even demonic possession as possible causes. One theory suggests ergot poisoning, caused by a toxic fungus on rye bread, might be to blame. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most baffling mysteries, a strange and haunting episode that defies easy explanation. Chapter 3: Napoleon and the Rabbit Attack. Let's talk about Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's most fascinating figures. Military genius, Emperor of France, and victim of a rabbit attack. You heard me right. The year is 1807. Napoleon, fresh off a series of impressive military victories, decides to unwind with a rabbit hunt. His men gather hundreds of rabbits for the occasion, ensuring a grand event. The hunt begins. Napoleon raises his gun, ready to hunt. But then something completely unexpected happens. The rabbits, instead of scattering in fear, charge towards Napoleon. Hundreds of fluffy bunnies storm towards Napoleon and his entourage, creating chaos. The hunters panic, trying desperately to shoo the rabbits away, but to no avail. Napoleon finds himself overwhelmed by a sea of twitching noses and fluffy tails, unable to fend them off. The organizer had used tame rabbits instead of wild ones, leading to this unexpected turn of events. The entire debacle became a source of much amusement and a slight dent in Napoleon's otherwise formidable image. It's a story that adds a touch of humor to the legacy of a man known for his military prowess. Chapter 4: The Boston Molasses Flood. From bunnies to a different kind of sticky situation, let's shift to Boston, 1919. Imagine a warm January day, the smell of molasses heavy in the air, when suddenly, boom! A giant molasses tank explodes. This was a full-blown 25-foot-high tsunami of molasses, ripping through the streets at 35 miles per hour. Buildings were knocked off their foundations. People were swept off their feet, trapped in the sticky goo. Rescue efforts were hampered by the sheer stickiness. It took days to clean up, and the smell of molasses lingered for months. The Boston molasses flood highlighted the need for better industrial safety regulations. It ultimately made American cities safer. Chapter 5: The London Beer Flood. Let's wrap things up with another sticky, but this time boozy, disaster: the London Beer Flood of 1814. This bizarre event is one of the most unusual and tragic accidents in London's history. Picture this: London, the heart of the Industrial Revolution, bustling with activity and innovation. At the Meuse Brewery, a massive vat containing over 323,000 gallons of beer ruptures. The vat was one of the largest in the city, a symbol of industrial prowess. A torrent of beer bursts forth, flooding the streets of St. Giles. The sheer volume of liquid was overwhelming, turning roads into rivers. People ran for their lives as the beer surged through the streets, destroying buildings. The force of the flood was so powerful that it caused walls to collapse. Pubs became places of refuge, offering a temporary escape from the chaos outside. These establishments, usually places of leisure, turned into sanctuaries. The flood claimed the lives of 8 people and caused widespread damage. The aftermath was devastating, with families mourning their lost loved ones. The air was thick with the smell of hops and malt, and the streets ran brown with beer for weeks. The scent lingered, a constant reminder of the disaster. The London beer flood remains one of the strangest disasters ever. It stands as a peculiar chapter in the city's rich history, a tale of industrial ambition gone awry. Conclusion: history's weirdest moments. From wars with birds to dancing epidemics, history has a way of surprising us. It's a tapestry woven with threads of triumph, tragedy, and yes, even utter absurdity. These bizarre events remind us that history isn't just dates in a textbook. It's a story full of unexpected twists and strange characters. Which of these bizarre events blew your mind the most? Drop your favorite in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating tales from history.